Hi, Camille DeSalm here again. Time for another middle of the night video. It's not exactly middle of the night, but it's late. I was lying in bed and couldn't sleep. So I was reading Janet Ivanovich's Hardcore 24, which is hilarious. Her books are so good. Oh, there's a plug for her. Um, and I wanted to get up and make this video. So to tell you about something different that happened to me, and this has never happened before. So it's new and cool for me. A few nights ago, I went to bed about 7, hoping I could sleep. It's really early. It's really early, but for the last couple of months, pain and some involuntary muscle contractions in my legs and lack of sleep has had me just really worn out easily. So I sleep when I can. So I went to bed about 7 and I couldn't sleep, and I was frustrated because of what I really wanted to be doing was being up and working. I mean, I have a business. I have a business and I'm developing another business. So I wanted to be up and working, and I'm just so used to I was trained, as many of us were, to be productive and to mark things off the to-do list and to create tangible results. What looks like results, what feels like results, and what we tell ourselves are results. Sometimes they are. Sometimes the only result is that we've marked it off the to-do list. Well, I wanted that satisfaction the other night. And I haven't been able to work as much just because of the physical slowness. The MRI that was supposed to happen yesterday didn't happen because of an insurance submission snafu. So hopefully it's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. Let's see. So I decided I would meditate and sit with the part of me that wanted to be productive and just feel it and listen to it. That aspect of myself. Because I knew that that's one way to hear what's going on with me. And another is I knew that I didn't really want to have that just be productive drive. I wanted to truly be productive. And if being productive meant resting, then I wanted to rest. So I needed to undo some of what I believed about what being productive is. So I didn't think all that right then. I just knew from having done it for 25 years that sitting with an aspect of yourself that is having a difficulty can produce great results. Plus, it's a good way to honor yourself and to learn to trust yourself and listen to yourself and feel what's going on with you and bring up allow things from your subconscious to come up into consciousness. And what I found is that the more I have done that, the more I have trusted myself, and the more easily these aspects of myself, habits, behaviors, thoughts, will come up and tell me more of what's going on with me, with themselves, which is just me, just an aspect of me. So all that long intro to say that after I sat with that part of myself and just listened and felt frustrated about not being productive and about being physically slow and about being tired. And I started crying. And I could see that little part of me, a lot of my meditations are visual. I could see that part of me as like a little person in me. And it was crying. And then I said, the part of me I think was ego, or the part of me that, is the me that's presented to the world. Me, what I call me. I said, I'm frustrated too. I want to be productive too. I'm right there with you. And so both of us were crying. It was a funny thing, I was physically crying, and then this little person image inside of me was crying, and we were crying together. And then the me that's really all of us, because we're all one thing. It's all one thing, we're all one thing. We're this infinite, creative, calm, powerful, whatever it is. Some people call it source or God or universe or I don't know what else. So I remember to pull that part in and say, oh yeah, that's the part that is holds space for these parts of me that are upset. So I let that come in and kept crying. And after about maybe a minute, that little person aspect of me, little figure, noticed that space, which was very surprising to me. I hadn't ever had that experience before. Now, I've only been consciously aware of consciously feeling or seeing or holding that space probably for a few months since listening to Kyle Cease talk about that concept and that reality and doing it that way. But this time this little person noticed it and it said, "What is that?" And I said, "Well, it's the infinite, creative everythingness, oneness." I said something like that, and it said, "Well, how did you know about it? How did you know about it?" And I said, "Well, I learned. I said I just knew it was there, and I learned about it." And I said something like that, and it was very curious about it. So that little aspect of me walked into that space and started wandering around in it, like exploring. And immediately, the moment that I saw that figure that represented the aspect of me that wanted to be productive, the moment it stepped into that space, I calmed like that. I was not upset. I was not crying. Physically, I calmed down. My mind calmed down. My emotions calmed. So I hung in there a moment and I thought, now don't suppress anything that might come up. If you still feel like crying, if you still feel upset, if you still feel frustrated, let it come up. So I hung in there a few more minutes and waited. And stayed very calm. See, now I feel like crying just out of relief. I think it was the next day I checked in on that little aspect of me, and I said, how are you doing? It was still wandering around in that space, that infiniteness. And it said, I said, how are you doing about being productive or not being productive? And it said what it wanted to do now, what it thought would be a good job for it, instead of pushing me to be productive and hounding me when I wasn't productive, was anytime other aspects were upset, it would be willing to take them by the hand and walk them around in that space if they wanted to and wander with them calmly. And I said, man, that is a cool job. That's a cool job. I think that sounds marvelous. Yeah. So now I have this inner tour guide to the infinite space to walk around with parts of me that are having problems. In that space. I can't wait to see what happens with this. That's it for this not quite, but almost middle of the night video. I'm Camille DeSalm. My walls and ceiling really aren't modeled yellow and white. I just have some weird color going on in this video, and that's okay. See you next time. Good night.